Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today on the Dungeon Dive, we are taking a look at two small card games that are available from Drive-Thru RPG slash Drive-Thru Cards. And those games are the Tower of the Ice Lich and the Castle of Sanguine Blight. I saw Deborah on Geek Gamers review both of these games, and at about 5 minutes into her video, I shut it off and immediately went to Drive-Thru RPG and ordered everything I could for these games because they looked like something that I would absolutely love. These games just they screamed a dungeon dive. This is the exact kind of game that I am super into right now. And that is something that is very, very simple, and yet it offers up a compelling experience. Now, some people might think that these games are too simple, and I could definitely entertain that argument. As a matter of fact, I might say these are even more simplified versions of something like Escape the Dark Castle. So if Escape the Dark Castle is kind of barely a game for you, you may want to avoid these. However, if you are looking for something like Escape the Dark Castle or Escape the Dark Sector, and you want something in a small, nice travel size and something that is even lighter, then I can very heartily recommend these. These games do one thing really right, and that is creating mood and atmosphere through flavor text. And they are both very simple games where you are basically taking a hero, a character, you are flipping over a room of a dungeon to see what is in that room, doing something in that room, then flipping over an event card, doing what is on that event card, and moving on. In Tower of the Ice Lich, your goal is to kill the Ice Lich. So this says, far to the north on the eternally frozen sea of Isgard stands the legendary Tower of the Ice Lich. It is filled with unholy beasts, deadly traps, and corrupt magic, but also the fabled treasure of myth. And on the top floor, its undead ruler awaits those foolish heroes who dare to climb the entire tower. The Tower of the Ice Lich is a solo adventure card game created as an homage to 16-bit video games and classical sword and sorcery literature. To play the game, you need a couple of six-sided dice, some luck, and the skill to survive. So let's take a quick look at Tower of the Ice Lich and see how that plays. So in the main box of the game, you will get a deck of room cards. You will get a deck of Lich cards. So these represent the boss, the Ice Lich that you'll be fighting at the top of the tower. You'll get a deck of event cards and also a deck of item cards. Along with all of these cards, you will also get a few cards that tell you the rules of the game, and it is very, very simple. So at the beginning of the game, the first thing you're going to do is pick a character. So we have Kati Amun Ra. In the tower is the answer to end my family's curse. Or perhaps you'll be Irulf the Kind. The Lich is a blight on all things natural and good. Maybe you'll be Aldous Ulfadorter. The Lich killed my father. I will avenge him. Or perhaps you'll be Kotata the Fast. The tower's treasure will be mine. So let's see which hero we'll be playing today. All right, Kati Amun Ra. Each of the heroes will have a number of stats. You have a strength, a dexterity, and an intelligence, and then you have health, sanity, and luck. The game is very simple. It is it's a number of skill tests in a row, basically. And to do a skill test, you will simply roll 2d6, add the total, and then add the relevant modifier if it's a strength, dexterity, or intelligence test. And the target number is 9. If you hit 9 or above, you pass the test. Anything else, you fail. You have two kind of health pools, health and sanity. If either of those go down to 0, it is game over. And your luck is represents a currency that you can spend in order to re-roll your tests. All right, so we'll take these d6 here and assign those to health, to sanity, and to luck. There are ways to get more health, sanity, and luck, but you can never have more than 6 on each stat. So the next thing we want to do is build our ice tower. And this is the dungeon that we are exploring here. So there are 15 rooms in the dungeon. So you'll take your room deck and give those a shuffle. And then you'll start building your ice tower. And there are 5 levels, and each level consists of 3 rooms that you will be exploring. Each room will have some kind of dungeon room involved, and you will have an event. So the rest of the ice tower is going to be off camera, unfortunately. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we won't use the rest of the rooms here. So there are a lot of different rooms. You won't see all the rooms in one game. I would also definitely put this in the same category as something like Mini Rogue. If Mini Rogue is right up your alley, this is another game to add to your small box collection. So then we also have our event decks here. And after you explore a room, you pick an event. So let's start playing. I will move the camera down here so you can see the first row. And basically, you just want to pick a card in a row. You have to explore each room in a level before you can move on to the next. Once you beat the top level, then you fight the Ice Lich. So let's see the first room here. Okay, large chunks of the roof have fallen down and destroyed the room's interior. Among the rubble under a large stone, you spot a small cracked chest. Resolve a strength test if you would like to move the stone. If you fail, it is too heavy. A success will instead yield you an item. So I think the text is really well written. There are a lot of cool things to read about. And some of the cards will have you will require you to do some kind of test. Some of them will give you a choice. So here you have a choice. There isn't anything bad that happens if you fail, so it's not much of a choice. But sometimes you will have a choice to do the test or not. And sometimes the rooms and the events are just flavor. And I think that is super cool. As a matter of fact, I think that the text is so well written and the rooms are interesting and the events are interesting that I could see this game also doubling as a tool system for solo role playing because it adds a lot of atmosphere and you could very quickly generate a dungeon and very quickly generate some random events. So let's do this. What was that? That was a strength test here to see if we can get the item. Our strength is 1, so we need to roll an 8 or higher. Okay, so we rolled a 5. So we have a strength of 6, so we do not get that item. However, nothing bad happens to us. We could spend a point of luck in order to re-roll, so let's try that. And there we got it. An 8 plus 1 is 9, so we hit our target number, and now we can draw an item. The items are pretty powerful. They will usually just add something to one of your stats, or they can also be healing items. So let's see what we get. Not only are these braces made from thick and sturdy protective leather, but they are also quite stunning with their details in inlaid silver and blood red coloring. Wearing them, you feel confident, tough, and powerful. If you don this item, you will gain a +1 strength. All right, that's pretty great. So we can equip up to 3 items. So one of the main choices in the game is once you get up to 3 items is managing your items. Which items are you going to equip? Which are you going to leave behind? The only other choice really in the game, well, there are 2 other choices. One is when to spend your luck, when to do those re-rolls, and 2, when those cards give you an opportunity, when they say you may, picking one choice or the other. Those are your basic decision points in this game. Like I said, very simple. So we will wear these bracers here, and that gives us a +1 strength. So now our strength is 2. Now we can go on to the set. Oh, now we need to draw an event. Prismatic trap. Quickly rising from a hole in the floor, you see an iridescent crystal. It starts spinning with a maddening speed, overflowing the room with psychedelic flashing light. Resolve an intelligence roll to withstand its confusing effect. Our intelligence is 3, so we would need to roll a 6 or higher. And we beat that with a 7. All right, so we withstand the prismatic trap. We do not fall prey to the psychedelic flashing lights. So we pass that trap. So we pass the room, we pass the event, and now we go on to the second room. Fountain of blood dominates the room, surrounded by flaming braziers and the overwhelming stench of wet, succulent iron. Smells like blood. You can drink a handful of the warm blood if you like. If you choose to do so, you gain +1 health but suffer a -1 sanity. Okay, I'm not going to do that, so we can just bypass that. That is a choice that we can make. And now we will draw our event. The Hanged Man. In the corner between rooms, you find the torso of a man hanging from the ceiling. On each side dangles a black raven in similar heavy iron chains. Through rotten and frozen, though, I should say, though rotten and frozen, you see that the man was old from the gray beard. You also notice that he had only one eye. So that's cool. That's just a little event. That's just a little piece of flavor text. It doesn't have any kind of gameplay ramifications. You don't have to make a choice. There's no stat test. It's simply flavor. And that's what both of these games, I think, do really well. And as you can see, something like this could be very useful in your own other solo role-playing games. So very, very cool. Let's do the third room here on the first floor. There is a fully functioning alchemy set in one end of the room. If you like, you can resolve an intelligence roll to interact with these strange instruments. With a success, you create an elixir that heals you for +2 health. If you fail, the poisonous fumes give you a headache for -1 sanity. So we could heal, we could go up to 6 health there, but if we fail, we would lose 1 sanity. And we have to make an intelligence test. Our intelligence is 3. So let's do that. I would need a 6 up here. All right, there we go. Easy. So I will gain 1 health. So now I am at a maximum of 6 health. Then I would draw an event. The Walking Dead. The shambling cadaver launches itself from the shadows towards your exposed throat. Resolve a strength roll to push the walking corpse away from you. Okay, my strength is 1 plus 1 is 2, so I would need a 7 or higher. And there we go, a 9. All right, so resolve a strength roll to push the walking corpse away from you, and then skewer its rotting head on your weapon. If you fail, it bites you for -1 health before you have a chance to destroy it. So then we would move up to level 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on. And then we would get to the top and fight the Lich. So the Lich, these are all the different powers that the Lich has. The Lich has 6 hit points. Basically, you have to resolve the test to do damage to the Lich, and then you shuffle that power back into the deck, and you just keep drawing one power after the other to see what kind of fight you'll have with the Lich. The Lich suddenly splits into multiple copies and starts circling around you, trying to find a gap in your defense. Resolve an intelligence roll to hit the real Lich for 1 damage. If you fail, you are fooled, and the Lich attacks you from behind with its bony claws for -1 health. Or perhaps here, the Lich summons a swarm of bugs that descend upon you like a black cloud from hell. Resolve a strength roll to pass through the biting mass and hit the Lich for 1 damage. If you fail, the swarm inflicts -1 health, as well as -1 sanity, while the Lich is not harmed. So yeah, as you can see, the writing is really good. There are a few typos. I would like to see maybe the grammar cleaned up a little bit, but there are all kinds of really cool things to find in this game. And the flavor text is just adds a lot of atmosphere and a lot of different kind of thematic elements. There are traps, and there are all kinds of different rooms to explore, all kinds of different things to overcome. Very, very cool. Now, with the Tower of the Ice Lich, there are also 3 expansions available. We have, I'm not sure of their names. I just ordered everything that was available. So here we have some alternate rules in one of the expansions. And then this expansion comes with a handful of new rooms, a handful of new events, and a new deck of cards called the Lore deck. And so in this expansion, you're trying to discover this lore. The bone inscription. You find some inscriptions upon bone and start reading. I discovered that warlocks have a strange obsession with the remains of other magic users. It seems that the bones have some form of power that eludes most other users of the arcane. Well, let us give it a try. Roll a d6 if you want to experiment with this bone. On a 1 to 2, you eat the bone and gain 1 luck. On a 3 to 4, you do nothing and the bone whispers evil things to your mind and you lose 2 sanity. On a 5 or a 6, you burn the bone and the smoke covers and heals your wounds for +1 health. After use, this card is placed at the bottom of the lore pile. And then here are the different events. We have a sphinx, a terracotta statuette, an ornamented chest, a shuffling mummy, and an obsidian key. And then we also have a handful of new rooms to explore. So that is one expansion there. And then we also have this expansion, which adds a handful of new rooms and events, an abandoned symbol, demonic butterfly, blood-sucking bugs, a frost beetle. And then there are the rooms here. And these rooms are interesting because these rooms are purely thematic. They are just themed. They are just flavor text. They have no stat tests or traps or anything. So adding these rooms might make the game a little bit easier, but maybe a little more thematic. And then finally, we have this small expansion, which adds a couple new characters, Mira the Meek and Titos Blightborn. And then we also have a handful of rooms and events and items, and also a new Lich power that you can add into your Lich deck. Love that trap room, the spinning blades trap, or the spiked roller trap, the archery trap. So yeah, this expansion I think is a little more difficult. So yeah, so that is the Tower of the Ice Lich. Very cool, very fun, very simple. But if you're looking for something simple, thematic, and fun, I can highly recommend this. The Castle of Sanguine Blight feels like a logical progression. I think it is maybe a half a step more complex. The game is very similar. You have your rules. You have a whole deck of different events. And as you can tell, this is more of a gothic themed horror, a gothic horror theme, I should say. So very similar to the Ice Lich here. You have your rooms, you have your items, events, and you have some vampires, and that is going to be your final boss there. And then you also have characters. So the characters are a little more complex here because not only do they have the same stats, health, sanity, and luck, but they also have a little backstory and a special ability. So this adds just one little kind of layer of complexity. Father Dario Vellucci. Father Dario is a cynical priest from the Catholic Church who became an exorcist in his younger years. He disagrees with the church, but he will protect humanity from all things dark and wicked. He has now hunted down a great evil to this cursed castle and will defeat it or die trying. So we have Isabel Maria Carnaza, Mehmet Kozin, and also Millie McCoby. Our vampire is here with representing her different powers here. So very similar to the Lich and how you would fight the vampire. And then we have a whole bunch of different events such as the crystal ball, an urn, an old wooden cabinet, a deadly pit trap, horrible visage trap, a swinging pendulum trap, a bloated fairy attacks, a ghostly bride attacks, a vengeful myling attacks, a lost Daibuk attacks, stinking rat king attacks, a walking Dracovic attacks, a corrupted icon attacks. So lots of crazy cool monsters. I love this pixel art. It's very, very cool. And then we also have here, we have our various rooms here, such as a tomb, the machine, an alchemical laboratory, a drawing room, an ossuary, a kitchen, treasury, hall of armors, scientific laboratory, a bathroom, a dungeon, audience hall, corridor, and etc. So yeah, very cool there. And then we also have, which items do we have here? An amulet, a goddess of cats, clockwork gauntlets, a silver rosary, loaded blunderbuss, and some potions. Now, there is one expansion for the Castle of Sanguine Blight, and that is here. And that adds a number of different rooms, some more events, and some more items, and a couple more characters, such as the Creature and Elisa von Staunhauser. So we have medicine kits, a wind-up toy soldier, and here we have different traps. So a whole bunch of different traps to add to your event deck. And then we have the Toy Maker's Workshop, the Homunculus Workshop, and the Larder. I like both of these games a lot. I think with the expansions, the Tower of the Ice Lich feels a little more expansive. And I think I like the theme in that one a little more because it's more of a dungeon theme. And I'm looking forward to just kind of using these cards to maybe incorporate them into some kind of simple solo RPG, dungeon exploration, just to maybe add a couple more layers of complexity to these great little simple card games that I highly recommend if you are okay with something very simple. If you're looking for something more in-depth, you would probably want to avoid these. But for me, right now, I absolutely love the Tower of the Ice Lich and the Castle of Sanguine Blight. All right, guys, we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.